Good afternoon. This is Brother Herman with MakeUpSeeTheTruth.org. We are a nonprofit organization who has been anointed and appointed. We're going to be used by God to bring forth His correct truths, His information, His knowledge to our brothers and sisters whom are still out there lost, searching in all the wrong places and trying to find that information, their true identities from all the wrong people, the resources. Inside of MakeUpSeeTheTruth.org, you will find a segment that is entitled Brother Herman's Sermons. And Brother Herman's sermons are nothing more than just teaching tools to help our brothers and sisters do just that, to find their true identities. This is the knowledge of whom we come from, where we come from, why we came, what our purpose is. We also have coping skills segments involved so that we can learn how to cope through life's many trials, tribulations, challenges, hurdles, obstacles, even the blessings that come along our way. We need to know how to treat those, because most oftentimes when we lack knowledge of who we come from, then we don't value where we come from. We don't value the creator of us. So if we don't value the creator of us, then how can we value us? Can't. So we have already established 11 series. We're working on series 12 right now, which we have entitled God Waits for Our Will. We're going to be launching episode number 4 today, which we have entitled, Why Are You Still Here? If you'd like to assist us in this ministry, you may do so by going to our Cashapp, financially assisting us at $ capital MAIKUM capital CDE capital TRUTH. And we appreciate whatever the Holy Trinity moves you to assist us with. If you just like to support us, you may do so by hitting the subscribe button at the bottom of the channel. It's going to allow you to receive every video, every teaching tool that we upload the minute we upload them. If you just like to use the video to teach someone, because you may not like all of them, but there might be some that you do, you can hit the thumbs up button at the bottom of the channel as well. And it will allow you to save the episode that you are in fond of. Either way, we'll appreciate whatever the Holy Spirit moves you to assist us with. And until then, we're going to begin episode 4. Why are you still here? Inside of series 12, God waits for our will. And we begin it like this. When I was around 3 years old, I can remember my mom driving us around in the car, and I was standing up in the front seat of an older model car. These were the kinds of cars that had the long front seats with no middle in between, separating one person from the next. So in essence, you could slide from the driver's side all the way over to the passenger side without having anything stop you or any hindrances. So I'm leaning up against the passenger side door when she makes a left-hand turn at a light. And I can remember the door suddenly opening and my little body falling out of the car onto the pavement of the streets. I can hear lots of people screaming and my mom freaking out. I remember seeing her freaking out, stopping the car, getting out, rushing towards me. But God had me then, because nothing happened to me at all at the age of 3, falling out of a car, hitting the pavement, not a scrape, not a scratch, not a broken bone. So that was number 1. Number 2, I remember when I was 5 years old, I remember getting hit by a moped inside of an apartment complex. At the time, it was named Sundown Apartments, and it's in 38th Avenue, south of St. Petersburg, Florida, off of about 44th Street, I would say. And it went from Sundown Apartments to Maximo Palms, and now it's called something else today. But for those of you who know what I'm talking about, I was living in those apartments from the ages of about 5 till about 9 years old. And at the age of 5, I remember being picked up by an older white guy, and he just was like a bully of a sort, and he was just trying to push us around a little bit. So we were at the pool, and he picked me up and threw me to the bottom of the pool. Now, at the age of 5, I couldn't swim. I didn't know how to. So my little body just sank all the way down to the bottom of the pool. And I just remember going down the bottom to the bottom of the pool, looking up out of the pool, looking up. As my back hit the bottom, I'm in about 12 feet of water. And I just remember looking up, and I wasn't afraid. I wasn't frightened. I wasn't in fear or nothing. I can't even explain it. One would think you might be panicking or something along those of that nature, but I wasn't. All I felt was a serene peace. But before I knew it, I saw the same white guy coming and diving into the pool to come and get me. Now, when I got out of the pool, my brother was irate, as you can probably imagine, but my brother's only about 3 years older than I am, so he was about 8 at the time, and the white guy was probably about in his teens. So there was nothing he could do, nothing I could do. We just had to eat that one. But I remember seeing him come in the pool as though somebody told him to come and get me. I can prove neither way, but I just believe that he was moved by a higher power to come and get me before I drowned. Then at around the age of about 13, we was in a bike gang, and I don't know how many of y'all out there who used to ride around in bike gangs, one after the other, one after the other, after the other. But I was the last one riding around this bike gang around our neighborhood on the south side of St. Pete. Once again, this is around 20th Street and 19th Street and about 26th Avenue South, down by Lake McGorry. And I was the last one in the bike gang, and all I remember was I was about a good 10 bikes behind everybody. So as I'm passing this one street, which was 19th Street on 26th Avenue, I'm passing in front of a motorist, a vehicle, and he apparently didn't see me because he punched the gas as if to leave from the stop sign and make the right-hand turn, and he just nailed me. And all I remember was flying up in the air, and I felt like something just caught me, like 2 hands caught me and brought me down to the ground and set me down on the ground on my back. And to this day, I know what I felt. I felt 2 arms or 2 hands catch me and sit me down, lay me down on the pavement. And when I got up from the ground, all I remember doing is looking down at my legs, and they just had some scrapes from the hit, I believe, of the car. But my bike was all mangled in the front. The front rim was not straight. It was more like bent like this as a C shape. And I had to literally pick up my bicycle and walk it back to my house, which was only a couple blocks away, on my shoulders. So I wound up fixing the front tire, and I got back into the bike gang, and that was it. So then later on, fast forward, I'm about 1996, 24 years old. And the first time I got hit, because I got hit twice in 1996. The first time I got hit, I was on my bicycle, and I was coming back. No, I was headed towards, I think, a friend's house. And I was only about 4 or 5 blocks away from where I was living at, on 45th Street off of 5th Avenue, and between 5th and 9th Avenue North. And I just remember this car coming, speeding, and hitting my back tire. I was on a beach cruiser, and like a mountain bike type of a bicycle. And I just remember my back tire getting smacked, and then it just slid up under me, and I rolled over. And I was going to lay there this time and collect money if I could, because I was going to wait for the police to come and make a report. Just so happened that it was a nurse that hit me. So she got out of her car, a white lady, and she came running to my rescue, or to my aid. And I'm just laying there like I'm pretending like I'm hurt, but I'm really not. And at this time, I didn't know who God was or anything like that. I didn't know God until I was about 36 years old. So I'm about 24 years old, and I'm still hanging out in the street, still doing me, wilding out, and, smoking a little pot here and there, drinking a whole lot of beer. And I just so happened to have about a half an ounce of weed on me at the time that came immediately, rushed to my memory. And it was like a voice said, "Fool, you better get up. You know you got this weed on you. You can't sit here and wait for the police." And then I immediately jumped up, grabbed my bike, put it on my shoulders, because it too, the back rim was mangled. and I walked my bike down on my shoulders down to my house to change out the back tire and going about my business. Well, a couple months later, I wound up getting a car, 1992 Dodge Shadow. I remember because I got it from a place called Carless Sales at the time. And I was working for a place called Bob's Carpet Mart. I was the warehouse manager at this time. And I was coming home late at night. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning from a lounge, a hangout at late at night off of in the south side of St. Pete off of about 9th Avenue and I believe it was 16th Street, called Ike's Liquor Lounge. But I'm over here in the cross section of 22nd Avenue and 22nd Avenue and 22nd Street by a flower shop called Carter's Flower Store, when I get smacked right into the driver's side of my my driver's side door. Now it folded in and it made a shape like this. Instead of a door being like this, the door was like this. So this part where my knuckles was brushing up against my rib cage, and it should have easily punctured my ribs and maybe even my lungs, but it didn't. Now I had been drinking at the time, so I drove away from that accident because the other guy, he hit me and took off, so it was a hit and run driver. And I remember getting home late at that night, and I remember getting out of the passenger side door, walking around to the driver's side door, looking at the damage. And I was like, wow, I should really be, something like bad should have really happened. My whole side should have been punctured in by the door. But it wasn't. So I wind up calling Progressive Insurance Company, and they wind up taking care of the damage and whatnot. And I wind up buying a motorcycle after that. And instead of another car, I wind up buying a motorcycle. It was a 1979 Honda CRX Cruiser. And it was my first motorcycle. I had never owned a motorcycle before in my life. So as you can imagine, I was having the time of my life for a few months there before I start coming home one night from my mom's house, and I was headed to my house, which I live downtown by the pier. I'm coming off the highway, and I'm just breaking it down, boom, 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 breaking it down, and I'm coming off the highway, when out of nowhere I feel the back end of my bike get slapped again, hit. And this time I go flying off the bike in the air, and I felt like it could have been an easy 60 feet, but I later found out it was a little bit more like at least 20 yards is what I was told, 20, 30 yards. It was far, because the paramedics had to cut my pants off. My helmet went one way. My pants had to be cut off. I had on some hand gloves with a bar coming out of the glove into my wrist that broke my fall, but these brackets, the bar that was used to come out of the glove and into the wrist, that broke my fall, was cracked in half. And thank God, the only thing I had wrong with me was a forearm scar. The whole skin on my right forearm was missing. It was gone, road rash. But they taped me up, patched me up, and I woke up and I was like angry. I was just super angry, and I was like, where am I? And it was like, you've been hit last night. Calm down, Mr. Broughton. You've been hit last night by a hit and run driver. But don't worry, you're going to be okay. And I said, what time is it? All I wanted to know was what time it was. And they said to me, well, it's almost about 6:30, going on 6:30. And I said, well, you got to call my mom because I'm going to be running late for work. And all I was thinking about was getting to my job so I didn't lose my job. And I was working on Clearwater Beach at the time, living downtown St. Pete, working on Clearwater Beach. That's quite a hike. But I wound up making the work around 7:20 that morning, and I wound up doing pretty good. I was working at IHOP on Clearwater Beach in I guess this was 1997, because I was hit twice in 96. I got hit again when I was 25 in 1997 on the motorcycle. And that was the last great significant hit. I got hit once more in 2019, but it wasn't any of significant damage, even though I did wind up having a settlement come from that, but it was not major. My point is that either one of these hits could have easily taken my life. I even remember overdosing when I was 25 in 97, and I remember having a near-death experience where you step outside of your body and you're able to look at your shell of your body from your spiritual body. I remember stepping out of my body and looking at my body as I OD'd laying down on my bed. But then when I looked behind me and I saw nothing but pitch black darkness, I scared the bejesus out of me and I just jumped right into my body, back into my body. So I was living pretty reckless, but at the same time, I was also trying to be taken out by the enemy, which I didn't understand at the time because, once again, I didn't know who God was. I didn't know who Jesus is. I didn't know my purpose. I didn't know the plan that I agreed to come down here and fulfill. None of this stuff. All I remember is just total ignorance and darkness and just living the way I wanted to live, which I really wasn't living. I was just existing. But since God and I had made a pact to come down here and fulfill a promise, a purpose, he kept me in all of these hits, all of the trauma that went on in my life. He kept me through that. And in the book of Acts, chapter 17, verse 30, it says, God blinks at our ignorance, in our times of ignorance. All the things that we do, we get a pass for those things when we do them in ignorance. But then in Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, in our basic instructions before leaving earth, chapter 10, verses 26, tells us once we receive the knowledge and we continue to go on doing these things, living foul, living how we want to live, it's my way or the highway type of an attitude, we're hurting people, we're hurting ourselves, we're disappointing God, we don't care, we have that I don't care attitude. Well, Hebrews, after we get this information, the knowledge of who God is and what he expects of us, and we go on and still choose to live ungodly, then Hebrews 10:26 tells us that there is no more, God will blink no more. There is no more passes. And so we must then make a choice, make a decision to either serve God or continue serving the world, which is nothing more than serving the devil. In either way, you're going to serve somebody, so you might as well make your choice of whom you're going to serve today. And the title of this episode is, why are you still here? If I've been hit over 6 or 7 different occasions and I overdosed and I'm still here. I even went through a prison sentence of 92 months, and God, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, kept me through all of those months, through all of those facilities that I was called to live within, among murderers, rapists, the worst of the worst. But not one altercation ever happened. Not one person put their hands on me. As a matter of fact, they were calling me pastor and preacher. They knew who I was before I did. And so what I'm trying to get the point across is, the point that I'm trying to make for the lost brothers and sisters out there is, we're still here because we all have agreed to fulfill a purpose. In the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5, Jesus says to us, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. I knew you. I purposed you. I set you apart. I sanctified you. So if that's the case, if you know someone, you have to have a conversation. Otherwise, you just know of that person. And if we agreed to come down here and fulfill a purpose, then we can do all we want to do while we're down here. We're still not going anywhere. Out of all the hits that happened to me, I still wasn't allowed to die because I had a purpose to fulfill. So God kept me through all of those hits. When I felt the arms catching me, that was the angels protecting me. We all have some spiritual guides and guardian angels around us at all times. So we're going to fulfill our purpose, or we're going to reject it. And if we reject it, it's like the same as rejecting Jesus' salvation, his purpose, his mission for coming here to this earth. And that's to save us and show us who we are and where we come from. We come from a God of love. That's all God is love. Unconditional agape love. the kind of love that is indescribable. And all he wants for us to do is love each other. And part of our purpose for being down here is to do simply that, to love one another. If we don't do that, then we must repeat the process. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to repeat this. I want to get it right now. He's given me 36 years to find out who he is. And for the last 15 years, I've been walking with his son, the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, a.k.a. Yeshua. Some of us know him by. And I wouldn't trade out any of this for all the tea in China, because now, look at me today. Now I know who I am, where I can cry out to in my times of needs and troubles. I know I don't have a thing to worry about, and I know everything out here is not as though it seems. I know that the enemy is at work, and he's going to be at work in some people, but I also know that they have no power over me unless I give it to them. And the only way I can give it to them is to stop loving them, meaning to pray for them, to pray for the spirits to come out of them, to pray for them to overcome the spirits within them, to pray for them to become sick and tired of living in ignorance like I had to. I had to become sick and tired of living foul, foolish, and just stupid. I had to become sick and tired of being ignorant. And when that happened, that's when I cried out. And that's when you'll cry out if this is you. So why are we still here? Is because we have a purpose to fulfill. You might as well get on with it, or you can reject it. And I'm praying for you if you do, because your place will be like the rich man who was here on earth, and it was all about him. And he stepped over Lazarus, and he didn't care about the poor. And when his time came, he finally met his fate, and his fate was down there in the pit of hell. He was tormented for all eternity. And there was nothing that Father Abraham nor Lazarus could do to help him. There's nothing that anyone's going to be able to do to help you if you choose to reject Jesus' salvation. I pray that you get smart, get wise, become tired of yourself. Because it's not about you. Life is not about just you. It's about you serving God to help others. And the way you help others is by showing Jesus' love through yourself, letting Jesus' love come through you to others as best as you can, because we're all human. We're still going to be working on this for the rest of our lives. No one is perfect at it, but at least practice every day to become better and better every day. Once again, this has been another one of Brother Herman's sermons. Why are you still here? Episode 4 inside of Series 12. God's waiting for our will to choose him, because we do have a will. Until next time, when we launch episode 5, which we have yet to entitle, I want you to take care of yourself, and I want you to assist us as best as you can. All the information you need is on the front of this channel, and I appreciate whatever you choose to do, whatever the Holy Spirit moves you to do. We appreciate it. If you need assistance, go on our website. That link is on the front of our channel as well. Any kind of spiritual assistance, we will stop what we're doing and we will help you. Until then, may God continue to bless us all, and you have a great rest of your day and night. Thank you.